always wonderful to be home. And home for us has always been VCon. It's awesome to see all of you from all over the world. It fills my heart. This is exactly what we live for. This is exactly the reason why we do what we do. So, it's amazing to see you going on with so much energy. If we can reach out and touch hearts like this, then we have truly succeeded. Our 23-year journey has truly been one that has been productive, that has been impactful, and you are the reason why. So thank you. Thank you very much. But then VCon is about making some serious decisions in your life. People come to VCon to change. People come to VCon because they need a change in their lives. And change always comes with a price. So yesterday we talked about renew. Renew is when you recognize the need for a change. And when you revive, the change actually begins. The thing to remember is that each and every one of you have the potential to be truly great. This is not something that I'm merely saying. This is something that you have to believe. Because you have been gifted with an incredibly powerful tool, the human mind. And because of that, you can dream. And because of that, you can plan. You can project. You can prepare. And the future is something that is in your hands. The one thing that you must always remember is never let anyone steal your future. Your future or your destiny is in your hands. And only you can make it come true. Many times along the way, people have asked me, what do you need to start a business? What do you need to begin this journey? How do you become successful? And among the most ridiculous questions that is always asked to me is, how do I get the money? It's always asked to me, where do I find the money to start business? Where did you get your money? And the important thing that I'd like to share with you today is when my brother Japa and me, and I think the person who can actually talk about it most is my life partner, my wife. We didn't have money. But money was not the most important thing. There were a list of other things that was critically more important. And when we went after that list, the money found its way to us. You cannot go digging for money, of chasing money. You have to create a vessel, and the vessel is yourself. So when you create that vessel and it is ready, then you will find what you need to start it. But the dream must be big enough. It must be big enough that the facts do not count. Because facts can hold you down. The so-called truth can hold you down. The so-called reality can hold you down. And the people who hold you down are people who cannot dream. The people who hold you down do not see your dream. And the people who hold you down are simply people who have not been able to fulfill their own dreams. Do not let other people tell you what you can or cannot do. This has to be a journey that you embark by yourself. What you can and cannot do lies only within you. And therefore, you need to explore your fullest potential. And as and when you reach that potential, everything changes. When you change, the world changes. You don't go around trying to change the world. You change and the world changes. You become the vessel. You become the instrument of change. Basically, you need to be able to dare. Because ultimately, no risk, no gain. Nothing in life comes to you without some element of risk. Everything that you get easily, you lose easily. What you fight for to obtain, you will fight to let go. So the simple secret lies within you, nowhere else. Usually, I'd like to show people what dare means, because sometimes when I say dare, it doesn't come across so clearly in your mind. You're still trying to understand what I mean when I say dare. There are people who dare to do things, and they dare to do it just because. They're willing to do it just because. Just because means no reason. They do it because it can be done. They challenge the odds. Usually I have a very famous video that I showed during most of week-on, which is called People Are Awesome. So today, however, I've decided to show something else. A little video that shows you how people are willing to risk their lives simply to prove a point that they can do it. And this is what is amazing. They risk their lives virtually to the very edge, and they do it literally every day. Their practice sessions alone in doing this, it's a game called parkour. Now, parkour, I've always admired because this is turning the inner city into a jungle, so to speak. And it's amazing how they do it. Their dexterity, their flexibility, their versatility. And they take every risk at the move of a coin in a split second. And they pull it off. And I'm sure many don't. But what are they doing it for? Is it for money? No. They're risking life and limb in order to gain just a moment of success. And success for them means they made it to the other side. That is the essence of dare. So let's first take a look at this video. And let's look at what daring is all about. Because today, that's the first step, to dare.
I heard. Yeah, you guys English.
Now, in just that few minutes, you saw people take incredible risks with their lives. They were jumping through space. They were literally doing somersaults and leaps. And any one of those leaps or somersaults going wrong would have been death. And they're doing it simply because it can be done. Now, I'm not saying that we need to do this. However, that is what the human mind is capable of. If we truly believe and they are willing to dare, then we are willing to change. Because change comes at the edge of daring. And that's a very, very powerful thing indeed. And change comes from the heart. Change is driven when you have your back against the wall. So the many times in our journey, Japa, myself, the partners, the company has been challenged. Many times we have hit the wall. The fact that we stand here after 23 years is a message that we will not give in, we will fight back, we will overcome. Whatever the challenge out there, we will overcome. Simply because of one thing and one thing only. Because we know in our hearts that this business and what we do helps more people than anything else out there at the moment. We have built champions around the world, but champions are not made in harmony and peace. Champions are not made by the swimming pool or in a resort somewhere. Champions are made when they are pushed to the wall. Champions are made when they have to fight back. So challenges come to us, always. In this video, you saw what these kids were able to achieve. But what they were able to achieve does not show the number of them that were injured, that fell, that died, that did not make it. All of the injuries are not in the video. It's those successes that make it. In life, it is exactly the same thing. For every person that you see become successful, there's 100 on the way, still trying, still struggling, still falling. And therein lies the secret to success, being able to pick yourself up and focus on the game. And that is the most important thing, never taking the eye off the ball. A dream is not won easily. A dream is like scaling a mountain. It is taking a risk, hanging on with your fingertips sometimes, falling sometimes, starting again sometimes. But that's what life is all about. That's what makes it all such a wonderful journey. I'd like to take this moment to start with another aspect of Revive. As you begin with Revive and you begin planning and projecting for the future, you need to also prepare for giving back to society. Raise yourself to help mankind. Raise yourself is the first part of the journey, and WeCon is very much focused on that. But never forgetting, the second part of the journey has always been to help mankind. That means something that you do from the very beginning must start paying back. And this is something we basically began doing from the very onset. And it is my belief that is what has always saved us, because we kept giving back. We found ways to give back. We created pathways so that we could actually go out and help people who were unable to help themselves. And this journey began many years ago, and because of that, the Rhythm Foundation was born. And today I'd like to be able to discuss what the Rhythm Foundation does and continues to do. But more importantly, I like to be able to share with you someone who has shared my life, someone who has walked with me every step of the way. Someone who has basically supported me, who has held me, who has sometimes pulled me, pushed me, and been by my side the entire journey. And this has been my blessing. In the last 23 years have been challenging years for us, but these are the years that have made us into who we are today. And I have spent 3 decades now with this person, and that is truly a blessing from God. And I like to share with you our life journey together. In order to do that, I need to bring up my wife, Datin Sri Umayal Eshwaran. So I'm going to let her say a few words of how we began, because we were not always like this. And perhaps she's the best person to talk a little bit of our journey from then till now.
Good morning to everyone. It's amazing to see the crowd. I mean, I can only see all of you virtually. So, I'm sending you virtual love across to wherever you are. Today, I'm not going to talk about what Rhythm Foundation does, or I'm not standing here as the chairperson of the foundation and the face, but I want to talk about our journey in how it began 23 years ago. Because today you see us, the two of us, and the success story is what you hear today. But it wasn't that when we began, because we were both holding a 9-to-5 job, and we were the ordinary people just like everybody else. But we had a dream. All right, so this company today was as a sparkle, okay, a tiny drop of Dato Sri's vision of what he wanted to do and how he wanted to touch lives. And all we had was that dream, because he always kept telling me that he never wanted to work for anyone. He wanted to do something that'll be meaningful, that we go out there and touch lives. So, knowing me, I supported him, I wanted to, but I was happy with, the 9-to-5 job, the money that you bring, and the safety net it gives, right? And I'm sure all of you will be in that same position. And we question ourselves, do we really need to take this risk? and, go out of our comfort zone. Why? Because, we are getting paid, okay? Our bills are paid, and then we can put a little bit of money aside. And tomorrow, in the future when we retire, that we have that money and we can be happy. That's how we all begin to think, because we never want to discover the potential. The potential and the extent this body and this mind of ours can go. Because the capacity that we have within us, every single time when we face a challenge, now in this 23 years of journey from the time we began until today, we faced all kinds of challenges. I personally have come to a point and say, okay, I think I'm done. This is not for me. All right, this is too much. I need my life back. I'm sure each and every one of us, at some point or the other, we keep questioning ourselves every single day. But you don't give up. We don't give up so easily and walk away from that dream. Like how Dato said, don't let anyone else steal your dream and what you want to achieve in life. We have faced, the closest people to us will come and tell you, this is not going to work. This is not for you. We have to go away from it. Why are you leaving everything you have and your comforts and your convenience and going away and, going to a place where you don't even have people, you don't know, everybody is strangers there. But in that country is where we met Japa. My brother, who I will tell today that, I always tell Dato Sri that you could not have asked for a better partner in business. That's Japa Das.
That is so true. To my brother Japa, wherever you are listening to us, we love you. So sometimes when you take this risk, and you go beyond your capability, then you find the right people come your way. And I always say that businesses, or whether what you do out there, if you do with love, with kindness, with compassion, nothing will go to waste. Whatever your effort that we put in, what that we are doing in this life, nothing will go waste, because we have to put that much effort and focus in what we are doing. And I truly believe that, every challenge that we have been through in the last 23 years that we have been through, I'm sure each and every one of you are going through, or at this point, at different stages. 2020 has not been an easy year for a lot of people. And for me especially, in the work with Rhythm Foundation, we have come across so many people who have lost their jobs and going through, mental issues because of the challenges that they're coming their way. And I always keep saying, even for us, in the last year, that I have learned a lesson is to stop blaming everything else around us. Don't look outside for solutions. Don't. It'll never come. You have to look within you, because that power to bring about the change and to live your dream is ultimately within you, is within each and every one of us. We
underestimate ourselves. And we think that we are not capable, we will not be able to do it, and we always pull ourselves down. That's the first thing we do, and that's the first thing we've got to stop doing. And in this business, that I always, when I talk about it, because like Dato Sri has said, our journey together and been 31, going to be 31 years together. And in this business and in this company,
31 years, but it sometimes feels like 31 days only. So.
And in this, the journey in this company and building this together with everyone has been 23 years, going to be 23 years. And if you ask me today, whether I have any regrets, if I would do something different, no way. No way I will choose anything else, because I've made friends who have become family in this business that I've not known them. I've just met them in this journey, and they have become very much part of who we are and our life. And I would not have met them if not for this journey that we have made. So there's so many things that is good that has happened in this journey. If you ask me, the difficult times, that's a lesson that I've learned, and I would take that as part of my life. And the positive events that have happened, that I take it as it's God's blessing that has come my way. And my journey so far has been something that is full of discovery of myself, because I never imagined and I was never confident to stand up on stage, because I think the very first time when I stood up in VCon, I was basically shivering, I was sweating, and I didn't want to speak for more than 5 minutes. And Dato Sri had to come up and stand next to me and hold my hand and say, like, continue, say something.
Even now.
And today, because I see the lives that have changed, I see, what this has done and how it has impacted lives. And because of your contributions in the business, Rhythm Foundation is able to touch hundreds of lives out there, all over the world, people who are in need. We are able to change thousands of lives. We are able to touch every single life that we can, because we are very focused, wanting to impact, wanting to change, wanting to transform these people's life for better.
To everyone out there who's in the same journey, it is an important thing to have family with you. In my case, it is my wife. And our journey together has not been easy. As she says, our challenges during the tough times, there were times we wanted to give up. And we are not infallible. And there were many times we wanted to give up. But somehow, we pushed each other and we pulled through. Every time we did that, we became stronger. Every time we struggled, we became better. And with every challenge that came from outside, our own relationship grew. We became stronger inside. And that is the gift that every challenge brings. So what I'd say to you is, this is a business that's built among teams. And the first team is usually with those who are closest to you. Husband and wife is the greatest team to start.
The best.
So when people come up to me and ask me, what do I do because my husband is against it? What do I do? My wife is against it. I say to them, if you cannot convince your husband or your wife, then why bother trying to convince anyone else? First and foremost, convince your husband, convince your wife. That's your first challenge, most important challenge. Then the world starts. So then you have your spouse, your partner right next to you. So that's the gift that I'd like to share with you today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for my wife, Dato Sri Eshwaran. So, a lot of times I get asked these questions, It's so difficult to do. It's so difficult to do. How do I do this? It's so difficult to do. And there are so many answers I could give people, but the best answers are visual. The best answers are visual. There are people who have only half of what we have. There's a very famous story about a man who was complaining that he had no shoes. And he was complaining about it all the time to everybody that he met. Until the day came, he was silent. And when he was asked why he was silent, he said, I saw a man today and he had only one leg. And I began to realize how lucky I truly am. Likewise, sometimes we have to remind ourselves, even as a baby, the strength a child can have in facing the world. An infant who's starting off life, how beautiful it is to be able to reach out with your hearts and feel what that infant is going to go through for the rest of its life. But at that moment in time, when this infant was being fitted with an additional arm, she was so full of joy. Sometimes we need to be just grateful. Gratitude is the best place to start life with. Every morning being grateful is the greatest secret to happiness and the greatest secret to success. Let's take a moment to look at this child who changed my day and continues to change it. Being grateful is a very, very powerful motivation. There is nothing that comes close to it. So people will look at this child and say, what can this child do? Even with an artificial arm, I'll tell you what this child can do. This child can potentially play basketball. because that has actually happened. Nothing stops someone whose heart is in place. Nothing stops someone whose determination is driven with daring. Nothing stops someone who has decided he can do it. Let's see this baby potentially play basketball and see what that would look like. That's basically it. Either you see impossible or you see I am possible. And that depends entirely on your point of view. It's perspective, isn't it? So if you say it's impossible, impossible it is, because there's nothing you can achieve. But the minute you say, I am possible, anything can be done. This baby could be chopping wood next. Why ever not? Chopping wood, is that possible? Well, let's see. Chopping wood indeed. do when you are down, that you can come back, that you can survive, that you can thrive. And listening to people is sometimes the biggest mistake we can make. There are times that we do need to listen. And there are clearly times we need to be deaf. So since we're in the year of the bull, let's look at this animation where a couple of bulls are talking about crocodiles. Watch out for the crocodiles in your life. So you see, listening to the people by the side is always dangerous. You know what it is that you're looking at, recognize it, that is ready to start the journey. And the process itself is more important. But I didn't have money. We didn't have money when we started. We had to beg and scrape and earn every penny of that money to put into whatever we wanted to do. And because it cost so much, because the pain of putting that money together cost so much, we struggled really hard in order to succeed. And it was a sacrifice. So ultimately, if it is too easy for you to get into the business, then that itself is your biggest challenge. It will be your biggest obstacle. Because in essence, success has to be earned. And it begins with the very first stage. So scraping to find that money is your first challenge. We did it. Everyone I know does it. In essence, if you take a look at the top 10 most richest men in the world, many of them started with no money. Many of them, in fact, almost every one of them started in a garage somewhere, be it Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. They started in their father's garage, or they started by borrowing some money from their dad or someone else. It's always, always the hardest road that is the best road to take. Don't worry about money. Worry about your drive, your daring, your determination. Then the money will come.
Dato Sri, this is a question from Sri Lanka. How can I continue to maintain my consistency in serving and helping others sincerely find their life goals, even though I am often rejected?
So there's two questions in there. How do I be consistent? And at the same time, how do I deal with rejection? So let me tell you about consistency first. Inconsistency is a cancer, somebody said. And inconsistency truly kills. The one thing that everybody who is successful in life can literally, latch on to is this one quality. It's called consistency. You are the master of whatever you do every single day. Simple. It's as simple as that. So if you're going to be successful, you have to be consistent first. So consistency means doing it every day. Now, does that mean you won't get rejected? Heck, you'll get rejected. Rejection is how you perfect yourself. Rejection is what? It's basically the sharpening of the sword. Rejection makes you good at your game. To get to where you are without being rejected would mean you're setting yourself up for failure. Imagine that you start riding a bike and you don't fall. then you're setting yourself up for a really major fall at some point. The critical point is to remember that everything that you do in life begins by making mistakes, recovering from the mistakes, and then using the mistakes as stepping stones. So why fear rejections? Embrace your rejections. And in terms of consistency, do it every day. Somebody somewhere wrote a book, Something Silence, which talks exactly about this subject. Perhaps reading the book will help.
Dato Sri, everybody is speaking about things to do to be successful. What are the top 3 things not to do to be successful?
That's a good one. Don't give up. Don't give up is the number one thing. Once you begin on the path and you take a step forward, never retreat. Keep moving on. You might have to make U-turns. You might have to occasionally take diversions. But all of that is simply moving forward anyway. So the process requires you not to give up. Number 2, don't give in. Don't give in to your fears. Don't give in to somebody else's worries or challenges. Don't give in to everything around you. Be committed. Don't give up. Don't give in. And ultimately the third, which is a theme for today, do it now. Never wait. There is no tomorrow. Yesterday is history. All you have is now. So do it now. Don't give up. Don't give in. Do it now.
Dato Sri, you've often shared that mental disability is the biggest disability. My question is, what should I do to make myself mentally strong enough to withstand an emotional or mental breakdown?
This is my most famous answer that I've been giving through every week on, every time. And it's the same answer to everyone usually. A long time ago, I wrote a book on this subject just to answer these. And to all these people who asked me this question, my answer goes as follows. Somebody somewhere wrote a book called Something Silence. Go look it up. However, since the question has been asked, it behooves me to at least address some part of it. There is no simple formula to this. Building your inner strength or your inner core, your determination, is a process. It's one that you start every day. But how do all of this discussion we have been having today leads up to that? Begin the day with gratitude. Be grateful that you are born. Be grateful that you are breathing, that you have your limbs, that you have an opportunity to actually go out there and try and fail. Be grateful for your failures. Your failures is in fact someone else's successes. Because for them, even the opportunity to fail is a gift. And you have that opportunity, then go out there and fail and fail and fail till you succeed. Ultimately, be grateful for everything that you have. That is my greatest source, my greatest motivation. Getting up every day and being grateful. So that's just one point. There are many others. Read the book.
Dato Sri, yesterday all the V partners have been in the business for about 20 years. Now someone coming in, isn't it too late since the company is so old?
That's a good one. Let me put it to you this way. I've been around for the whole length of the company, so that's 23 years, and I'm still here. The question you have to ask is, why am I still here? Why are they still here? See, success comes in many forms and in many stages. So your first need of success is primarily, usually, financial independence, financial freedom. And that you can obtain. But then from there moving forward, success comes to you in many different forms and shapes. If you sit down and keep listening to the V partners, you'll begin to understand how each of their various journeys have actually evolved in different ways for them, developed them as human beings. There are many, many more things beyond financial success. So your journey of 20 years can start today. We will still be around when you hit your 20 years. So start now.
Dato Sri, how much part did luck play in the process of your success, in QNet's success?
My grandfather used to say that every time you put your hand out to ask somebody to read your hand, because ultimately that's what luck is all about, whether it's written in your hand, it's in your destiny, etc., so on and so forth. So every time I put out my hand and ask someone to read it and tell me my future, I'm begging. He would actually define it as begging. Hence, he said, either you go around life begging, that is to say, waiting for luck to fall on your head, or you basically close your hand and put it to work and make your own destiny. In a nutshell, I don't believe in luck. Luck is something that happens once you put all the hard work in, you drive with daring and determination, and then hit all your deadlines and hit your success. Then luck comes, that's okay. Because luck happening by itself is a total waste. Because you will never understand, appreciate the value of the success you have received if all you had to do was fill up 4 numbers and win a lottery. But if you sweat, blood, sweat, and tears, you toiled over it, you worked over it, then it's worth everything. Because that is actually far, far more valuable than luck itself. Success is not the end of the journey. Success is the journey itself. This recon, for instance, we are doing this year after year, and it is something that we consider to be a blessing. Yet there are scores of people who are working around the clock without sleep for days and weeks even in preparation for this, pouring their heart and soul into it and doing it every single week on. Now what's the thing about doing that? Do they consider themselves lucky? To others looking at them, this would be basically hell. Working that hard. But for them, they would do nothing else but this. So this question of luck is a matter of perspective also. People look sometimes at people who have money and think that is lucky. People who have money basically have more problems than it's worth. The true essence of a man who is happy has nothing to do with money. So what is luck then? For me, every day I take breath. Every day that I open my eyes, I just look up to him because his hand is upon my head, and that makes the day possible. So the only luck is the present. Do it now.
Dato Sri, many of my business partners get into a comfort zone when they achieve some financial targets. How do I inspire them to get back on track?
There's a very simple, old philosophy in the network called SW. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone is waiting somewhere. So, in a nutshell, you cannot carry everyone with you. There are some people who basically, will leave at the first sign of success, and you have to basically let them find their own destiny. Be there for them when they come back. However, there are others who will continue the journey. And they are the people that you will consider as keepers. And they are the people you work with. They are the people who basically will become your team members. Some will come, some will go. So let it go.
Dato Sri, you talk about ego very often. I sort of get confused sometimes on how to differentiate between ego and inspiration.
How do you connect the two? I don't need ego for inspiration. Being inspired being a form of ego? Ah, okay. Well, let's put it this way. I have always found that the best inspiration is gratitude. To be inspired by money, some material success or the other, to me is not inspiration at all. The true or greatest inspiration comes from within, not without. So gratitude is my fundamental motivation. And then love basically drives me because my love for my work, my love for my surroundings, so to speak, in a sense, to be able to give back to the community. These are things that motivate me. So when I find things that are essentially selfless, then ego has nothing to do with it. Gratitude begins with being selfless. Service is selfless. Being able to give back to the community, give back to mankind is selfless. So when you're doing it for other people, that's the most inspiring of all and the most egoless of all. So if you take the I out of it, then it stops being an inspiration. Becomes an aspiration.
Say, how will I know when is the right time to quit my job and do the business full time?
Someone who's asking me this question has already answered the question for himself. If he's asking me the question, he's not ready. When you are ready, you will never need to ask me this question. When you're ready, you will just do it. If you're asking me, you're simply not ready. So the answer lies within you, not me, not in anyone else but you. Because as someone was saying this yesterday, wasn't it you, David? And Dave Joel, what they said was very simple, and it's an answer I gave many years ago. You must always attribute your success only to yourself. Hence, the decision also must come only from you. And I cannot be any part of that. This is your journey, your life, your success, your decision.
Dato Sri, there's a confusion at times what is important to me. How were you able to find what is important to you in your life?
Well, as long as you keep looking. You're asking me how I found something important in my life? Or because there are many things I found important in my life. Are you with me? My wife, for one. So there are many aspects of my life where, I found them as I went along. So, in a nutshell, repeat the question one more time. Let me try to understand what it means.
I think he refers to the networking journey. Your building of QNet and how you found, being an economist, Dato Sri, networking was not an area that you were a specialist in. So it probably came from that angle.
Well, I think what was really the thing that drew me into this was simply the fact that I was able to, the success of others made me successful. Making others successful was the only path to make me successful. That drew me into this. And the importance, basically, it found me. It's not that I was looking for it. It became more and more important as I grew in the journey, as the journey became prolonged, as every battle in every day built this company into what it is. So the importance actually was something that grew as I grew. It didn't happen in a single instant.
So say how to balance family, business, job, etc.
Somebody wrote something silent some time ago. I think, writing that book obviously was not enough. I need to basically hand it out, force every networker to get one. Now, the balance is something that only you, the formula is only found within you. Your life is not replicated in your neighbor's life. Nobody else's life is equivalent to yours in any way or form. Your balance has to be found in your life. So the process of balancing actually begins when you start this process that I have subscribed to in this book. In my description, I made it very clear. When we take an hour off every day to contemplate, to be silent, to prepare, to plan, to project, to look at what is truly important every day. Because what is truly important every day becomes a critical component of the decisions you make every day. Now that is something that changes every single day. As you get older, as your life changes, your challenges change, everything changes. So this is a constant fine-tuning that must happen. And it happens during that 1 hour in the morning where you sit in the sphere of silence. And that is how I do it every day. That balance that I seek every day is found in that hour of silence. Now, if you want to know more, you have to find the book and actually read it. It will describe to you, give you a breakdown of what you can do during that hour and how you can channel your energies moving forward. But balance is something you will do for the rest of your life. Start down.
Dato Sri, I often hear people say God is first priority, but I also hear my upline saying my life should revolve around the business. Help me to understand what should be my priorities, business or God, because the more I get closer to God, the more I drift away from other things.
It's amazing. The more I get closer to God, the more I drift away from other things. What thing could not, look at the other things we are talking about. What are these other things? If God is almighty, He is in everything, then the other things are included in Him. He is also the other things. To me, basically, I offer my work as my worship to Him. Which means that essentially whatever I do every day is for Him. So there are no other things. There are only things that I do, and there's no conflict. Whatever I do in His name. Whatever I do for Him. I am only an instrument of His grace on this planet. And therefore, the greatest way that I know how to serve Him is to do these other things. Now let's talk about these other things. When we achieve success in these other things, we are able to do so much more in His name. So perhaps that is the journey that you need to start. To see Him in everything, to see Him in your work, and to offer your work as worship.
Dato Sri, what is your advice for all the brand new people attending WeCon Connect this year?
Start now. That's it. Start now. Do it now. There's no better time. You are here not because it's an accident. You are here by intent. You are here because you are meant to be here. There are no coincidences. You are here because this is the moment in your life that you need to start, that you need to begin. Your journey has truly begun only at this moment. Let your life begin. Let your journey begin. And then, and only then, will you find your true purpose.
Dato Sri, with a downturn in the economy and a lot of jobs being lost, yet I find it so difficult to get people to understand and appreciate the benefits of network marketing. Why is that so, and what can I do?
People are people. Unfortunately, you know, as you yourselves have seen, that animations that I've shown you will tell you that people, unfortunately, are driven more by fear than anything else. So if they were driven by their dreams, they would be aspiring more, they would be daring. There are people who look at the people who are doing parkour, for example. The people who are doing, you know, all of these incredible things, jumping off planes, falling from the sky, parachuting, scuba diving, this, that, and the other, and say that's madness, I'd rather not do it. But then ask the people who are doing it, and they would say to you, there's nothing that they would rather do, that they would, you know, rather do than whatever they're doing. So the question here is simply, if you're looking for the negativity, you will always find it. If you're looking for the positivity, if you're looking for success too, you will find it. But you can only do one thing at a time. You can either sit here and look at all of the challenges and all of the worries and let that drag you down, or look at the possibilities, at the potential, and let that pull you up. And that's a decision only you can make. Life has always two roads to take. Make sure you take the right one.
So we heard a lot of the We partners yesterday say they did not expect that one day they will reach this kind of success. Was it the same for you when you started this company, or you knew day one that you'll be successful?
I don't think, you know, anyone knows. Everyone aspires, everyone dreams, everyone envisions, but knowing, only he knows. So the only thing that's ever been in my control is my effort. My effort, I have always given 100%. My effort has been, in fact, 101%, because it's very important to always improve 1%, to be 1% better today than you were yesterday. And that's the only thing that I focus on. And as long as I was doing that, I was confident that the results would come. I did not know when, but I knew they would come. And therefore, the journey continued. And when I was enjoying the journey, and when the journey became actually the source of my bliss, of my joy, I loved the journey so much, I didn't realize that I had achieved the things that I had wanted to achieve. Those were actually the side effects. The journey itself was the most important thing. And I think that's what you will find when you begin to love what you do.
Dato Sri, my past failures, my blows which I've received in life from falling down, sometimes become my dominant thoughts. But I still have my goals and intent in place. And I get confused, and I want to ask, how can I continue carrying on the business when I have this guilt from the past?
So imagine you're driving a car. You get into the car, start the engine up, and then you start imagining that you could get into an accident. Perhaps you have had little scrapes here and there and everywhere, and you start worrying about every accident that could possibly happen. Do you think anyone would like to be your passenger? The fact that you're in a car and you're envisioning all the disasters that can possibly happen makes you the worst driver possible. The point is, live in the now, not in yesterday, not in tomorrow. If you're going to be an excellent driver, you have to be totally focused on what you're doing. Nothing else counts except the moment you are in. Likewise, with any level of success whatsoever, you have to be focused to being in the now, to being in the present. Past failures or future successes, both ways, are just totally disarming, and they will just divert you. It's the only way to actually succeed, to do it now and to be in the now and be totally focused on what you're doing every day.
Let's see, how do I convince my wife or family members that I'm doing a good business?
If you cannot convince them, why are you bothering to convince anyone else? They are your single most important. They are the number one person you must convince. If you cannot convince them, then how is it that you're able to go out there and convince anyone else? The only way you're going to be truly successful is to show them and to convince them that you are totally sold on this, that your passion, your determination, your drive, your fire is filling you up. And ultimately, it is something that either they are with you or they are not with you. But if you love them enough, you will never give up convincing them. You will convince them every single day, over and over again, until they join you. Now, in terms of those that you love, there is no other option. You have to win them over. Now, for others who are sitting there as family members, that's a decision you are going to have to make. Some people have to be left behind, and some people will only be convinced after you become immensely successful. As someone once said, the best form of revenge is just success.
Dato Sri, the last question. Help me how to fight the ego.
I love this answer because I've given it thousands of times. Somebody somewhere wrote this book called Something, Something Silence. Read it. But since you got somehow to this point where you're asking me this in VCon, let me answer it. How to fight it? It's a daily battle. It's your only enemy. It is your biggest enemy, and one that you have to combat every single day. You have to get up every morning to battle it. It is your sneakiest enemy. It knows every single one of your weaknesses because ultimately it's coming from you. But every time you triumph over it, every time you get past your ego, every time that you're able to subdue it, you will rise. You will simply rise in many fashions, in so many fashions that you will not be able to understand. But the most important thing is, as the ego leaves you, the Lord comes in. For ego simply stands for edging God out. E-G-O. Edging God out. So if the ego is there, God cannot be there. If you want God to be part of your life, you have to push your ego out of the way. So fight every day. And now, I'd like to come back to the point of today, simply to revive. Yesterday, when we were talking about renew, I was saying, get up again. Every single time I said, get up again, get up again, get up again, because getting up again was that critically important. It's the first thing you must learn to do on your path to success. getting up again. But today, we are at the point where we're talking about change. And change cannot happen tomorrow. Change happens now. Change happens this instant. Change happens when your heart is on fire, when your soul is alive. Change begins when you do not care for the cost. To that level, you must hunger for change. But the most important thing about change, changing tomorrow helps no one. Changing yesterday is history. So the only change that counts is now. So my message to you, to all of you, is to carry this in your hearts, in your minds, and burn it into your brains. Write it everywhere that you can see. There's only one magic formula for success. Overwhelming success comes when you begin to live this formula. And this formula simply says, do it now. That's what it means, and you need to believe in it. Do it now. In every language that it can be translated into, will come back to you. Do it now. So let me say to you, Casablanca, Morocco, do it now. Burkina Faso, do it now. Morocco, Berkane, do it now. Russia, do it now. Sri Lanka, do it now. Saudi Arabia, do it now. Habibi, do it now. Indonesia, do it now. Indonesia, do it now. Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, do it now. Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, do it now. Tanzania, do it now. Tanzania, do it now. India, do it now. It will come to you. Do it now, do it now, do it now. There we go, do it now. 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 Let me hear you do it now.
VCC 2021, Dato Sri Vijay Eshwaran. To everyone watching around the world, Dato Sri's message, do it now. The one and only Dato Sri Vijay Eshwaran. VCC around the world, make some noise. The one and only Dato